I am Damonous. Jesus is my king. You are my family. Hello, I am Damonous. Thank you for joining. I think when we look at the world today, these troubling times, hurricanes, shooters, tragedy all around, we have to keep in mind the difference between people being real to us and people who are acting. In this clip, you'll see Bill Murray in his very first, as I remember, major dramatic acting role. Always known as a comedian prior to this. Here was where he tried to reach out, stretch out, and be an actor, like so many other comedians have done. And I think it's a perfect example and a comparison to what I'll be showing you later in this video from Jimmy Kimmel, is never underestimate those who are on the TV, who are in your house via the TV every night, their ability to manipulate you.
He was a slob. Did you ever see him eat? Starving children could fill their bellies on the food that ended up on his beard and clothes. Dogs would gather to watch him eat. I never understood gluttony, but I hate it. I hated that about you. He enjoyed disgusting people. Being disgusting, the thrill of offending people and making them uncomfortable. He was despicable. He will not be missed.
And one has to wonder there, in the scenes where you see the other actors like this, were they emoting for the scene, or were they just trying to hold back laughter? Because I think it's just a funny scene. To me, it's just a funny scene because you didn't know the character. Bill Murray is trying to be so deep, and it just doesn't work for me. This video is about actors. Actors who are comedians, or maybe better said, comedians who think they're actors. So there's a terrible tragedy that occurred, as almost all of us know, the past few days in Vegas. And there's many who have lost those most important to them. And our hearts and our prayers definitely go out to them. But now is not the time, nor is it in any tragedy, to change our view of what freedom is and our view of what our rights are given by God. Because an actor, comedian, wants to try and manipulate us.
A very sick person smuggled 17 guns into his hotel room and smashed out the windows, started firing indiscriminately from the 32nd floor into a crowd of 22,000 people across the street. And as a result of that, this morning we had children without parents, and fathers without sons, mothers without daughters. We lost 2 police officers. We lost a nurse from Tennessee, a special ed teacher from a local school here in Manhattan Beach, and it's the kind of thing that it makes you want to throw up or give up. It's too much to even process. All these devastated families who now have to live with this pain forever because one person with a violent and insane voice in his head managed to stockpile a collection of high-powered rifles and use them to shoot people.
So we've seen this many times before. A terrible situation, and the gun control fascists like Jimmy Kimmel come out and try and manipulate us. The right to keep and bear arms by a well-regulated militia, the Second Amendment. It's what keeps us on the wall against fascism, communism, and every other evil in the world. A terrible situation occurred, and who knows if it would happen again tomorrow, to me, to you. But we can't enslave everyone on the possibility of this. But let's look at the actor who is a comedian, or the comedian who wants to be an actor, in another of his recent fine moments. This was in May of this year, in an attempt to quash all the efforts to get rid of Obamacare. Jimmy Kimmel's child had some heart issues and was taken to a special hospital and treated.
I'm so happy we had this baby together. I'm definitely getting a vasectomy after this. And I want to say one other thing. President Trump last month proposed a $6 billion cut in funding to the National Institute of Health. And thank God our congressman made a deal last night to not go along with that. They actually increased funding by $2 billion, and I applaud them for doing that. Because more than 40% of the people who would have been affected by those cuts to the National Institute of Health are children, and it would have a major impact on a lot of great places, including Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, which is so unbelievably sad to me. We were brought up to believe that we live in the greatest country in the world, but until a few years ago, millions and millions of us had no access to health insurance at all. You know, before 2014, if you were born with congenital heart disease like my son was, there was a good chance you'd never be able to get health insurance because you had a pre-existing condition. You were born with a pre-existing condition, and if your parents didn't have medical insurance, you might not live long enough to even get denied because of a pre-existing condition. If your baby is going to die, and it doesn't have to, it shouldn't matter how much money you make. I think that's something that, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or something else, we all agree on that, right? I mean, we do.
Well, it's true. We don't want to exclude people from things that the rich might have, but make no mistake, this is a rich man. This is Jimmy Kimmel, who runs the late night show, and one could question whether his capabilities are worthy of that enterprise. But as you can see in these videos, and I hope you're able to see that, I hope you replay this. I hope you go to the link and you replay his whole monologue. And just pay attention to how easy it is for him to switch from one emotion to another. I'm not saying that's impossible for anyone to switch emotions, but I am saying that it is possible for actors to do so, for comedians who think they're actors to do so, and to not be swayed and to let your freedoms be taken away because an actor, a comedian, a poor one at that, tries to convince you that it's time to give up your freedoms for safety. No country has ever lived, no country has ever persisted or existed that has given up its freedoms for safety. Our rights are endowed by God, as in the Constitution as in the Declaration of Independence. We, the people, come first. We have these rights. Yes, even to have automatic weapons and all that comes with it. But make no mistake, if you give in to the manipulations of the rich actors, they will eat you alive. They and the government that they want. Jimmy Kimmel is not interested in your wealth. He's interested in his wealth. He's not interested in your child. He's interested in his child. And just like this last video that I showed of you from May. Yes, it's a heartwarming thing. Yes, it chokes you up. And yes, he sounds like he's choked up. But think about this for a moment. Did he ever have to worry? And whether Obamacare existed or not, did he ever have to worry about if he had enough money to help his son, to help his child? No. And when you understand the answer is no, you have to understand that this man is trying to manipulate you. Likewise, Jimmy Kimmel may sound very earnest in saying, I live in Vegas and, oh, this is so terrible, we lost cops and we lost people and all that stuff. It is very true. Those people are lost. But what is worse is a future, if you can imagine, where just like airports, everywhere you go, you have to go through a pat-down or radar before you can be allowed in. Every hotel, every location you can go. What kind of society does that remind you of? Does it remind you of Nazi Germany? Or does it remind you of the United States of America? Do not ever let yourself be connived by the wicked, by the actors. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Catch me on these alternate media sources.